Hey, welcome to part 2 of my tool tote project construction here. In the first video, we worked on making the body of our tool tote based off of an antique Stanley version. You can check out the video for that. It consists of a couple of ends and sides that are angled to just add a little bit of style here. There's a center piece that adds strength and stability. In the second part, we're going to work from the bottom up in adding a base, the lids for the top of it, a handle, as well as a tray to go on the inside to customize the storage. Now the first thing that we want to do, like I said, is to tackle the bottom of the tool tote. So I glued up mine from 2 pieces of material that I had. Depending on what you have available for yourself, you might have to use 3 or 4 pieces. The key thing though, and what I tried to do, is to make sure that the pieces were quarter sawn. So I have that straight, even grain, but also this is going to be a lot more stable in terms of expansion and contraction with humidity. What I did then is took my assembled tote, set it in place, centered it on the bottom here, and then I traced around both the outside and the inside with a pencil. And what that does, you can see here, is give me an idea of where the body of the tote is going to sit. I colored in the lines there just to eliminate some confusion, because what I want to do is drill pilot holes for attaching the bottom to the body with some screws. So I did that over at the drill press in 2 stages. Without having to do any measuring or marking, I could just line up the drill bit right in between my pencil lines and drill from the top side, just enough to go through the bottom of the panel. Then I can flip the piece over and complete those pilot holes and drill the countersinks for those attachment screws all at the same time. Then it's a quick stop over at the router table to ease the edges. I used a chamfer here because I like how that looks, and I think it goes and plays well with the angled ends on the tool tote. But you know, you can go with a round over or whatever profile suits your fancy for that. So I'm ready to attach this, and what I'm going to do, just use those pencil lines again to line up the box on there. Then I'm going to clamp it in place. Now flip it over and then just drive the screws right into the sides here. All right, with the bottom attached, the next thing we want to do is take care of one detail on the sides of the tote. I remember when we glued this up in the first video, the sides are still square, and we want to continue that slope from the ends all the way through the edges for attaching the lids. Now what I did is I just used a straight edge and drew in a pencil line on each end that continues that line. Along the side, I was able to just connect the dots and draw in a guideline here. Then I'm going to use a hand plane. You can use a block plane or a bench plane, and then you'll just plane away the excess wood, keeping an eye on both ends as well as that side line to gauge your progress, and then also check with a straight edge along the ends here to get a nice flush slope. All right, with the sides all flushed up and continuing that line, we're now ready to make and attach the lids. And I'm going to get those parts and we'll get those fit. Here's what we're shooting for on the lids, is that we want these to end up in the shape of a parallelogram, where we have the lower edge flush with the outside edge of the tool tote, and then here at the peak we want it to be plumb, so that when we put on our centerpiece and the handle, it's going to nestle together nice and snugly. How to do that, though, is to start with an extra wide board, like I have here, and then I like to use a long metal ruler or straight edge, and I can line up this bottom corner of the lid with the edge of the tool tote, bring the ruler in place, mark a line there, do the same thing at the top, aligning that line with the flat spot here at the peak. Once I've done that on both ends, I can connect the dots with layout lines on the outside and on the inside, and then it's back to the hand planing to get it to shape. The lids are attached to the tool tote with a couple of small hinges for each lid. Now there's a mortise that we need to cut in both the tool tote and the lid. And I'm going to start with the tote ones first, because then we can use those to mark the locations on the lid pieces. First thing is to measure in from each end to mark the end. Then I'm going to use the hinge itself to mark the opposite side. With a square, I marked down the face on both the outside and the inside of the tote. And then I used a marking gauge with a sharp cutter to scribe a baseline that defines the bottom of that mortise. I did that on the outside of the tote and the inside. Because we're dealing with a sloped surface here, you want to make sure that your cutter can still contact the material while you make that slicing cut to mark the baseline. I'm going to do this because we're working on a slope with hand tools. So my next step is to define the ends of the mortise with a couple of chisel cuts here, lining it up with my end lines, and then making a couple of firm blows here. Then to help remove the waste a little easier, I'm going to make a number of those same chops all along the length just to break up that material. Now it's just some chisel work to get that removed and work our way down to the baseline. When I get close to the line, I'm going to use a router plane and register it off the end pier where I get a nice large bearing surface, and then I can make some shear cuts just to establish my final surface on the bottom. I'm going to take it easy here to avoid tear out. Then I can do a double check with the hinge to slip it in place, and that looks pretty good. The depth of the mortise matches half the thickness of the knuckle on the hinge. So that's where you're going for when you want to line up and test fit things here. Now I did have a little bit of this material here start to peel away and lift up. You can see that right there. A little dot of glue and some masking tape will glue that back down. 2 more of these, and then we'll start talking about the mortises on the lid. The hinge mortises in the lids are in many ways a lot easier. You can hold the workpiece flat on the workbench, and you have a much larger surface area to register your tools from. The most difficult part is marking out the location of those mortises in relation to the ones that you already did on the tote. What I did was set the lid in place on the tool tote. Then I used my pocket knife and transferred the hinge mortise location just with little tick marks onto the corner of the lid for both hinge mortises. Now back here at the bench, what I can do is I'll use a square and carry out some layout lines that continue those tick marks to define the ends of the hinge mortise. Then I'll use my marking gauge like I used before and just scribe that baseline on the edge of the lid. That's going to be my reference line there. Now I've set a combination square to match match the width of one of the leaves on the hinges, and that'll be my backstop. So I'm just going to hold that in place and use my knife again and scribe the back edge of the hinge mortise. I'll make a couple of passes here, pressing down a little harder with each one. I want to clamp this piece in place. Grab the chisel, and I'm going to make those two defining cuts on the ends like I did before. And now we'll try and bust out some of that waste in between. Then when I'm close, I can grab the router plane again, and using kind of a pivoting motion, I'll just score along the edge of my baseline here. And you'll kind of see the direction that the grain is going, and you can work with that to slowly slice out the remaining waste. That's what we're shooting for. Nice flat bottomed mortise, nice and square, and it's going to hold the hinge securely. Now the key thing here is making sure you have screws that are short enough to lock the hinge in place without poking through the other side. All right, the lids are in place now and they look pretty good. I'm happy with the fit on them. What we want to do now is add a cap piece to the center of our tool tote. This does a couple of things. First, it's going to raise up the middle and give a place for the lids to close against. We're also going to attach the handle here later on, and it covers up the joint where the center spine kind of joins in with the ends on the tool tote. So I just need to run a thin bead of glue here. And I can set the cap piece in place, line it up with the ends, and then flush with this center spine, and we'll clamp it in place. To wrap up work here on the lids, we want to add a little bit of hardware. Now the first thing I did was put a handle on the top. The key thing here is because we have such a narrow piece, you want to make sure you get a handle that just has a single hole or two holes in tandem to attach the lid on, otherwise you won't have a place for the screws. Now for the lids themselves, the nice thing is that for the most part gravity's on your side here, holding the lids in a closed position, but sometimes you need to secure it too, especially if you're transporting the tote. So what we've done here is use just some simple latch hooks that hook onto some round head screws that are driven into the ends of the lid. Do that on each end of the lid. And then to keep the hooks from just dangling around, there's another round head screw in the middle here for them to rest on. Again, we got gravity working for us, and when you engage the hook, they're leaning forward, again working with Sir Isaac Newton himself. So to install them, I drilled a pilot hole through the end and into that center piece and installed the larger screw. It also reinforces that joint a little bit as well. And then because I'm working with soft material here, I could just use a small awl and press in some pilot holes and drive the screws for both the anchor point of the hook and its attachment point in the lid. Now that that's taken care of, I think what we want to do is open things up and tackle some organization on the inside. A small toolbox like this comes in pretty handy for all kinds of tasks. However, if we open up the inside here, what we have is one large open space. It's kind of the room of requirement for tools. What we want to do is organize that a little bit by dividing it off into smaller compartments. Now an easy way to do that is to just add a tray to the inside. Now this one's just a little over 2 inches tall, and it's great for holding a lot of those small tools and items that very often just kind of get lost down in the bottom of a tool chest. Now, to make these parts, they're all made out of 1/4-inch material, and I decided to use some real joinery on the corners rather than just gluing them up. So I have a tongue and dado joint here, and that's cut over at the table saw. These long sides have a dado cut on each end. Now that dado accepts a tongue that's formed on the end of the 2 end pieces. Now, these are small pieces, so I used a cross-cut sled to hold on to those pieces accurately and make those cuts. So once you've formed that tongue, you can glue this all together. Then we'll just glue on a separate bottom piece, again made from solid wood material. Before gluing it on though, I headed over to the router table and I cut shallow rabbets along each edge. Now those rabbets are going to help the tray register on a track system that you're going to install on the inside of the toolbox. So on this center divider here, I've glued a cleat that's flush with that bottom edge of the divider. So the tray will ride on one side against that. Now we need something for the other side of the tray. For that, I just made a long runner, and I'm going to install that with some speed set glue here. I'll just run a thin bead of glue along the bottom edge. And I'm going to use the tray itself as a gauge for locating it in the toolbox. So I can just set it in place there. Make sure it runs. And then I'm going to add a little bit of weight here just with a hand plane to allow the glue to dry. Now the nice thing is that by adding this runner here, we've added another compartment. It's a narrow little space here along the edge, and it's perfect for if you're working with hand tools. You can slip a back saw down in there, maybe a couple of other smaller items, even a short level could fit down in there. So once we get the glue dried up here, we'll wrap things up on this toolbox project. A small little toolbox like this is a versatile addition, even if you do most of your woodworking in the shop. There's often times where you need to take some tools on the road to help out a friend or to tackle some jobs inside the house. Or what you can do, what I'm going to do with this one, is kind of divide up some of your tools that are centered around specific operations. You know, things like car repair, electrical tools, plumbing supplies, that sort of thing. This kind of toolbox is pretty easy to make, as you've seen in these 2 videos, and it makes a great gift for someone who might be just starting out in woodworking or needs to corral a few tools of their own. And working with softwood like this, you can work on some of your hand skills along the way. So I hope you enjoyed the project. If you're a Woodsmith Unlimited member, this plan can be one of your 6 free downloads that you get every year. And if you build it, I'd love to see what it looks like. You can send me an email, woodsmith@woodsmith.com. Thanks for watching.